Alright, let's get through the bad, the worst first. So the worst thing that I can tell about what's coming is the third mod slot is just gonna be a ridiculous grind. I don't even think it's gonna be worth the grind in any way at all. Based on what they're describing, you cannot craft, you cannot upgrade, your stuff to actually have a third mod slot, much less change it. Instead, it will just be loot drops that are completely random. And you don't know how random it gets when you're trying to make a perfect, quote, perfect build. You're talking about gear. Like, look at it like this. You have 3 different variables on your gear, right? You have the attributes. It could have max health. It could have long range damage. It could have close range damage, status, power, cooldown. Whatever. Anyone who's trying to make a build, they want those 3 attributes, especially if they're not using any legendaries like I am. But even if you are using legendaries, you're probably still looking for specific legendary pieces that have better attributes, and then if you're smart, you're going to probably use 2 epic pieces still that do have perfect attributes on them. So no matter what kind of build you're doing, you're going to be hunting for those 3 variables. So that's 3 variables. Now, then you're going to want that gear piece to have a mod on it that you already use or want, that already is necessary on your build. Because as the game currently is, you can only mod 1 slot, 1 out of 2, which means you need one of them to be what it is. Now, how it is in the current game, that RNG is already pretty bad. It already takes a while for you to find that stuff, but at least it's foreseeable and doable eventually, because it is with the current RNG. Now, this 3rd mod slot that they're adding, it's going to be abysmal trying to ever find this perfect gear piece you're looking for, much less a perfect build. I can already see people getting excited thinking, oh man, I'm going to have 15, what are the 15 mods I want on my build? And I'm like, dude, you're not going to get 15 mods for your build. You can get random gear that will give you 15 mods and they'll all be crap. They'll synergize terribly. That's what you'll get. But if you're looking for a build that has all 15 mods, it is not, even your gun, so 16 mods, it is not happening. I'm sorry. Based on how they're describing you're going to get this stuff, it is no. They already said that you cannot customize, you cannot swap out this 3rd mod slot is locked, which tells me when you get this gear that has a 3rd mod on it, you can still only mod 1 mod on it. The good news about this is at least the only good news is that from this is that you can get even epic stuff with 3 mods. You can get any gear that potentially has 3 mods on it, and the 3rd mod can be a tier 3 one even on an epic piece, which means you can effectively have an epic piece with 2 tier 3 mods already on it, because you'll be able to customize, you'll be able to slap a tier 3 mod on it, and then it'll already have a tier 3 mod on it. And then of course there's the potential of a legendary one having all 3 tier 3 mods. That's all cool. I still think that's a cool thing, but and I do think with the current RNG, it's likely that you'll eventually find maybe one that suits your build, but it's going to take you forever just to find one. I'm telling you right now. And just don't even assume your build is going to have 15 mods. Just assume you're not going to get it. I'm sorry, I'm being realistic. I've seen this crap with Anthem and other games when you want to get 4 attributes on all pieces of your gear that's perfect for how your playstyle is. It doesn't happen. It never happens. You'll play the game for 5 years and you'll never get it, and then you'll quit the game eventually without ever getting it. So don't hold your breath. I don't think the 3rd mod slot it's going to be much help. It's just going to be a bonus, and that's one really bad thing I'm looking at this game, is that the 3rd mod slot, it comes with a poison pill in it. That's just, oh no, this RNG, this grind for it it's not doable. You're not going to be able to get perfect 3 mods on the kind of build you want. Alright, so that is definitely the worst thing I'm looking at, is that grind's going to be dumb, it's going to be absurd, and just give up. But enough doom and gloom. Now let's get to the great stuff, the best stuff. So, content for sure. They are, as I hoped. Now, I never thought they'd add a 5th class. They're not going to. And you can maybe chalk that up as another bad thing. I never expected it anyway, so I don't really care. But what I did hope, and that they're actually doing because of this new apocalyptic tier system, you will be able to play through the campaign, both the old campaign and this new campaign, with the same level that you play at. Like, you max at World Tier 4, Apocalyptic Tier 40 with level 75 gear. You'll be able to go back and play the campaign missions at that level. That's one of the reasons I've hated the current Outriders, with the fact that it had a World Tier and a Challenge Tier, and you couldn't play the campaign missions on Challenge Tier. So once you're level 50, there is no point ever farming the campaign just for fun. Even if it's not as good of resources as Expeditions, I sometimes just wanted to do it for fun because there's so many interesting locations and cool locations to fight into. So that does excite me. I'm very, very, that's probably the thing I'm excited most about, actually, is that you can now play campaign missions and expedition missions and this new campaign, and I'm assuming new expeditions and new bosses in the end game, the trial end game they're mentioning. You'll be able to do all of it on the top difficulty when you reach it. And that's going to add a ton of replayability to this game, and honestly, I think it might even save the game. We all know there's going to be a player-based boom when it launches, because everyone's going to want to see how this game's doing. That's exactly what happened with New Horizon, but it didn't stay with New Horizon. I remember when New Horizon update came out, so that looking for group posts, it went from 4 a day to 40. It literally went up 10 times, and it stayed that way for maybe a couple weeks, and then it got halved. And then within a month, it's back to 4 again. It's like you could tell the player base did not last at all. And I don't think it was a problem with New Horizon. New Horizon was a great update, I think. It just wasn't enough at all. But this Worldslayer actually might add a huge amount of replayability and content to this game. The new enemy, I'm excited to have new enemies, different enemies, all over the place. Because that's also something that we needed, was more variety in both the enemy types and bosses you encounter. So that's going to add more replayability. So I'm very excited about that stuff. I think that's probably the best stuff. Also, the other grind systems in this game, I'm kind of excited about. It looks like there may not be nerfing stuff. And instead, the Ascension system and the World Tier system will function very much. It'll be a grind and it'll take a while, but they look like they won't be RNG based like the stupid triple mod is, much less a horrible RNG as it is. But it looks like you're just going to be able to gradually increase your level as always, and increase your gear as always, which means the current gear you use, you can continue leveling up. And I mean, yeah, you want to eventually get, that tier, that triple mod slot armor that has that perfect third mod for your build. Yeah, we'll see if that ever happens. But in the meantime, the good news also to me is I'm honestly optimistic that my builds, for instance, on all of the classes might still remain viable. And I like what they did with the sub skill tree. They're not confusing players and adding all these different mechanics anymore. You can literally just have your exact same skill tree as it is right now, your exact same gear and mods as they are, with it all functioning exactly as it does right now. And now you get to level it up to level 75, so you can keep, you can still have your perfect build and just level it up, and it might still be OP. I feel like it probably will be, honestly, especially on my tank builds. If the healing mechanics are still the same and the max health is still the same and everything, I think they'll still be OP. I think there's a chance I might just blow through this even and get to the end game very quickly, which I actually kind of like, because, again, I think people deserve it when you get to this point. I think you've earned it because we played so much. You've learned the game. But if anything, knowledge is power, I'm learning. And regardless, just continuing to play and just knowing how the skill tree works is going to be good. So the new thing is going to be a sub-skill tree, and it's just going to be a shorter, but it's basically going to be a skill tree that pretty much just shortly buffs what you already are using, which I kind of like. It's very simple. Based on what I saw, it's very simple for the Devastator. I already know what I'm going to do. I already know my dev build can remain the same and use what it's going to use. So all the other stuff looks pretty good. It's just that